Listen, I love Windbreaker, man, but I brought it up in the last arc about this whole concept, but I gotta bring it up again after the brawl in this. I love this show, but I need at least one character in universe to point this out. Because how are these people alive? Whether it was the number of times people were getting dropped on their spine, shattered and broken, and they walk it off without much struggle. There's a character in this episode, so we got this group of thugs who basically tried kidnapping a girl and who knows what they wanted to do in that alley. But there's a group of a couple dozen of them. At one point, one of the characters gets grabbed, reversed, and it's not just they fall on their back and you're like, damn, that probably would have no, he lands on his neck and the way it bends would probably snap your neck and kill you. And listen, I love this show. I'm not saying this ruins the show, but I do gotta rant about this, man, because it's hilarious the longer it goes on. These kids ain't superhuman. No one in this show gives me superhuman vibes. Especially given that each of the martial art techniques that everyone does actually comes across as realistic. We're not in a world like JoJo where I'm like, oh, they feel superhuman, so some of the reasons why they can walk away what should be a killing blow, you just kind of suspend that sense of disbelief because of everything else going on. But here, I'm like, how are these characters getting dropped on their spine, on their neck like this, and not dead? In my own headcanon, no one can convince me otherwise. My headcanon is that Bofurren has the police force in their pocket to such a degree that all the blood and guts they leave behind for the people who don't get up to see tomorrow, the police are like, listen boss, you guys keep us safe, we're just gonna turn the other cheek and drop Johnny here into the river. Because there's no way, yes, you can hit your head, you can go through some crazy stuff and walk it off. And if this was the first time, I would brush it off. But given the entirety of the last arc, there should have been deaths. I'm putting my foot down. But what a freaking great episode. I have full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my full in-depth thoughts and my wild how the hell are they alive moments. It's going to be over there exclusively. Because the thing about it too is that one of the biggest reasons why you should never actually get into fights just out and about, doesn't matter how disrespectful someone's being, you can easily kill people. Especially drunken assholes, they get knocked out so easy and then they just fall down and they smash their head and then they're dead or they're paralyzed and then you're facing an insane lawsuit, right? It is so easy for the human body to break. We're insanely durable, but especially when it relates to the head and neck area, that can easily break. And it's I see them. It'd be different, I guess, if it was on grass or something, but it's we're on concrete. And people are getting their necks straight, how? And it's not the first time we saw it. The previous arcs, man, people were getting busted. Does anyone remember, I think it was midway through the last arc, that when they were dragging fools after they pretty much got paralyzed or what we thought was? It's hilarious. But I love this show, don't get it twisted, but sometimes I see stuff and I'm like, wait a gosh darn moment, Windbreaker. You killed that fool, and I refuse to be gaslit to the point of being convinced they didn't die. I refuse, damn it. But this was an interesting episode because this is a 13 episode course, so we still have a couple more episodes to go. Everything else on Thursdays are pretty much ending now. And I wasn't really sure what they're planning on doing. And one of the big things is definitely on Sakura's characterization in his character arc, and it seems like he's being pushed to be the captain of his year or whatever. So whether he gets accepted or even wants it remains to be seen, but it's a pretty big honor, all things considered. But we got introduced to two new characters, or I guess they were always there, but we properly got to talk with them. One of which is a meathead who is actually surprisingly sensitive, which was a interesting turn of events. But then again, when you look at Sakura, you don't expect Sakura to be the kind of tsundere of the group, so the show's pretty good at twisting your expectations of oh, this dude's just he's gonna think with his fist. And as soon as he realizes that, oh, I made this girl upset, I immediately apologize because I just didn't understand how I might look. And then you have this pretty boy who, it's a level of fun factor, but also you can tell why they would be a badass. Though, I'm not sure if the piercings are a good idea given he's in the gang lifestyle. I mean, it's very easy to use those piercings against him and literally rip them through his face if they got into a real heated match, but you know what? I'm more concerned about how people are walking off some of these neck snapping moments, so I got other fish to fry right now. But in general, I actually really mess with the cast dynamic and just how the biggest and most interesting thing about our MC's character is that he comes from a place of thinking the strong rise to the top, And if you can hit harder than everyone else, then ultimately that's what would happen. And when you look at the previous arc and how that similar mindset, corrupted, very much so a same thing would have happened to him if he didn't go to Bofurin. Sure, he may not have rose up the ranks to the same way as, the previous arc, but at the end of the day, you still would have ended up in a very corrupt situation had he gone to probably any other school or group or whatever, right? So the idea of him actually being supported and rooted on and watching him open up is really fun because you do get the impression he could be a leader. It's just he definitely has a long way to go, and I think the idea of the captains, or the grade captains is what I think they called it, is a really good idea of helping him being promoted over time without just giving him that top spot, because obviously he's not ready for it, and obviously he doesn't deserve it just yet. But it was a definitely interesting episode, because I just kind of walked into this episode thinking 11 through 13 were just going to be chill, that, yeah, maybe we get to learn a bit more about some of the other characters, but I wasn't really expecting action or anything like that. And the idea of the way they're incorporating the sidecast into actually feeling like eventful and personality-filled people rather than just insert cliche musclehead, insert cliche pretty boy. Like, they actually came across as their own individuals. And yeah, I'm actually surprised by how well the action looked this episode. Now, is it the same as the fights in the previous arc? No. But this wasn't some slideshow beat 'em up or cut to the next page and they're all defeated. Like, people were getting tossed around, the moves were still impressive, and it's wild because this show had way more action than a lot of 2-core anime would have over the stretch of 24 episodes. And the past, 6 weeks of this show has just been gas. And somehow the production has remained very, very consistent. And, I'm very excited for a second core. I mean, there was rumors prior to this even started that it was going to be a split core, so the rumors are that fall this year we'll probably have core 2, but we can't confirm that until obviously this core wraps up. But it definitely feels like wherever we go next is only going to get crazier and better from here, and if the production can actually remain to be this consistent, then we're in for one hell of an anime, all things considered. Overall, though, I kind of walked in with low expectations for this episode, not because I expected it to be bad, but I just figured that with the remaining episodes they had, there's no way we're going to be able to keep me as engaged as the previous arc. And while it's not to the same level as the previous arc for understandable reasons, it doesn't feel like it's lost its momentum. It's just readjusting the momentum, and it feels very easy to follow, at least that's how I'm feeling. But let me know what you thought down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Feather, The Lyrical G, Andrew Stevens, Himi Meow Toga, Misto Dreamer, Red Eye, and Isaac Sightlings. I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you all have a good one.